welcome back to Park Pro's coverage of the Manitoba Provincials, sponsored by Disc Public and powered by Prodigy. This is round 2 back 9 coverage. As always, the Canadian Disc Golf Tour is brought to you by patrons of Park Pro and by the PDGA Canada, supporting this coverage and tournaments across Canada. We're back at Briere, which was established in 2016. You know, this is the number 2 course in Alberta. And for good reason. It's a great park course. This is Andre in the booth, by the way, and we got Matt here as well.
Yeah, and if by Alberta, you mean Manitoba, because...
That's exactly what I mean.
Although I wouldn't be sad if they started playing Manitoba Provincials in Alberta, but hey, I don't think it's going to happen. We have started to see some fireworks here by the predominantly blue-shirted group here. Marshall 2 down for the round, Brian 2 down for the round, Bryce 2 down for the round. Nick got himself back to 1 down for the round. Everybody started heating up, and we're starting to see some fireworks from all of these guys.
Yeah, and even after a slow start, Nick is only 2 strokes back of the leader, which is exactly what you want to see from a provincial championships.
Yeah, this is the one that they all want to get. Everybody in Manitoba, this is the one tournament that they all have circled on their calendars as the win that they want to put on their resume.
You start the back 9 off with hole 10. It's a par 4, 528 feet. Forehand is the safe play, but it's not that safe because if you saw it off, you could end up on these trees on the right, and it is rough in there. But a lot of people will go for a big floaty backhand that'll, catch up and land somewhere around here. And if you're feeling daring, you can go for the roller and try to get the eagle. But, not a lot of people with that arm strength to get there.
Brian's was probably like 4 degrees of angle off of having a chance of getting there to the green last round. I'm curious to see if he's going to go back to that roller because he was so close. No, he doesn't. He's just going straight forehand on this one. I'm disappointed in you, Brian. Although that forehand is immense.
Yeah, look at the power he's got on there. He's going to leave himself with in a great spot. See, Nick, a little bit lower of an angle, but it looks like he's going to catch that opening as well.
Even
especially
better.
With that ground play.
Even better from Nick. So many good forehand players out of Manitoba.
Marshall opting for the forehand as well. Is looking great as well.
Okay. No pressure, Bryce, but that was 3 picture-perfect drives from your competitors.
Maybe a little bit longer, but still safe. And they're all going to have the angle in there to get the birdie.
Yeah, we've got the star frame green light here. Although that one's going to escape out to the right. He's going to have a putt. He's going to have the short grass, but it's got some meat to it.
Yeah, that's within Bryce distance for sure. If Marshall can make the correction, especially from last round, he did not have a great upshot, but it's good on this one. Look at Ryan putting that one pretty close as well.
Nobody's parked. Let's see if Nick can put her in there close. Now, we're going to have 4 putts. After 4 absolutely perfect drives, we've got 4 testers here for the card.
Kicking us off here, Bryce in the long grass. Hitting another band. I would love to go back and count how many bands he's hit, especially from distance. We take a look at Nick. Great putt.
Good stuff from Nick. Keeping the momentum going. Yeah, Bryce has been all over the basket. I think sometimes the guys with the floatier putt sometimes have a bit of trouble getting them up in the air too much. So see if Bryce can get that tamed down.
Getting his to fall. So it's unfortunately Bryce, the one from the furthest out, not able to get the star frame going here, but you got a 4 ain't bad.
Not too shabby. Casual, smooth, Brian Freese. Another day at the office for the guy.
Fly. Well, all black outfit.
Super slick.
Maybe not what you want to wear on a sunny day in Manitoba, but making it look good. Hole 11, it's a par 3, 340 feet, tight gap, off the hop. A lot of grass and foliage come into play on this one. If you don't hit your line perfectly, you could end up anywhere. And it all funnels here to the basket, which is a leaning basket, this is one of the older courses in Manitoba, so obviously showing some wear and tear here, but see how these guys play it. You can see that grass right off the tee box, making this a little bit tougher.
Looks like I might have stayed up in a tree for Brian there. A little bit high.
Marshall asking to get around.
God, it is just such a tight and specific line to get all the way to the green on this one.
Yeah, if your angle's off even by a little bit, it can, your disc can do funny things. You see Bryce maybe getting the best drive of the bunch here. Somewhat in the fairway, maybe a little bit. He's up first, so maybe a little bit further out than what he wants, but look at the basket. And he should have no problem with that putt.
And is that our friend Sonny that was doing some spotting last year?
I think it is.
Nice.
Oh, there you go, Sonny. More spotting. Nick from the trees.
So it looks
missed
like we
Brian's
missed
shot.
Yeah, but that was his par putt. Doesn't fall. He had some good momentum coming into this one, so that's going to be a disappointing bogey for Brian.
Nick gets his to drop, as does Bryce. Par is good on this hole.
Yeah, and Marshall's now going to get himself stretched out 2 strokes over everybody on the card here. We haven't seen a ton of separation. Is this Marshall's chance to stretch his legs and put a couple of strokes of cushion between him and, and everybody else on the card?
That one was close.
Okay, hole 12. Par 3. You mentioned that this was sort of a last-minute change to the course, the old hole 12, which was really deep in a tree line and probably didn't get a lot of sun to dry out. You can see how that would become unplayable. But wide open fairway to an extremely tight green here. Straight at it, there's an opening to putt through, and over to the left, there's another opening. And I guess if you go all the way over the top and out the back, there's another window there, but kind of 2 different approaches here. The forehand up the left side to sort of sneak through the side door, or the backhand through the front door. And landing zones are of the utmost importance on this one. Or just skip it in.
Squeezing that one through. That was close.
We're just skip it into the basket. That's a good play on this one.
I did see Brian in round 1 going a little bit high and crashing it down over top. It worked pretty good for him as we watch Nick. He should have a good look at it from there.
Great distance control from Nick on that one. Bryce started your round with 2 birdies, and then he's gone 9 straight pars. Mr. Consistency. And that might be another par for Bryce, because I don't think he's quite got the window on that one.
Brian was definitely going for the same play on this one, just unfortunately getting it out a little bit earlier than what he wants. Wow. And almost makes it from the trees.
Does well to get it through there. Okay, maybe Bryce does have a window here. Really stretching out.
Just going to take a nap for a minute.
From the knee. Marshall.
Marshall.
Toews. He's having himself a weekend so far. That's 9 down for Marshall. He's going to be the first one to double digits under par.
Stay tuned to find out. Another look at that drive from Marshall.
How close was this to catching metal here?
So close.
Oh. Maybe tagged it. Maybe just caught the edge of the basket.
Might have.
Really good comeback.
Great putt there.
I'm not sure I've ever made a long putt after an ace run.
No, definitely not from one knee.
No.
Let's take another look at our scoreboard here. Eric Weeb tied with Marshall, only a hole ahead, both at -9. He's having a good round of -6. Jason back at the top of the leaderboard, also has a -6 on the round, -7 on as a total. He's tied for third with Nick. Ryan and Bryce both at 5th. Brad, Josh in 7th. Robbie and Devin rounding out our top 10, -2.
Eric Weeb starting to show up. The man has been playing consistent disc golf this year. He is another one of these prototypical Manitoba boys, can throw forehand, backhand, putts from everywhere, and he has really put himself on the map this year especially, so excited to see if he can hold on. Wouldn't mind seeing him on the lead card as well. Hole 13, par 3, 410 feet. Saw it last round. We got guys going with the big Anheuser, following the tree line and then cutting in and flattening out, hoping to match the shape of the fairway here. You can also play a safe forehand, get yourself up to 50, 60 feet and take your chances on a long birdie putt. One of the longer and more challenging holes on this course, but we got some big arms here.
Marshall uncharacteristically into the ground, rolling into the woods there.
He must have got bit by a mosquito right on the tee pad just as he was about to throw, because you don't see that from Marshall Toews very often.
And it doesn't often come into play, but that pavement there is often out of bounds. So Nick, I think, is, he's playing out to the left side because he's hoping to get the look into the green and staying out of the woods. But he's safe and he should have a good look.
Looks like the wind might be a little bit different. That was a nice shape there from Bryce, but his disc just kind of got slammed down to the ground here. You can see the leaves moving a bit more. Brian gets caught up in a tree. It looks like maybe more challenging conditions here in round 2.
That's for sure. To see from way back, Marshall here over top of these trees.
He was looking for some confirmation there as to where that disc went.
So are we. See, Brian casually putting this one under the pin.
It's just too easy for the guy. I think we need to find another sport for Brian that has to make him think a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe see if he'll start throwing with his eyes closed.
There's Nick putting it real close as well. What a shot.
Okay.
There's where Marshall ended up. That's not bad.
That is not bad. That's in his range. That was top chain. That was top link. That could have dropped for him.
Yeah, definitely within his range.
This is Three Stooges out here. Come on, guys. Get your...
Use a putter, use a mini. Which one do you want? Your choice. Dealer's choice. Give a look at Nick's upshot here.
Oh, this was so good all the way.
A lot of trees to get through.
Oh, and the guys in the back thought it was going in too. I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one.
The chance.
Hole 14, you're going through a tight hallway off the tee pad here, then trying to pick your angle of approach here. It's 288 feet, drops down, comes back out. I think it sort of nets out to being flat, if not slightly uphill, and it plays for the forehand skip up to the basket. We've seen backhands, but the traditional play is pound a forehand up the gap off the tee pad, and then hopefully it's got the right stability and right distance control to skip up to the basket.
Nick opting for that forehand play. Does have a really nice forehand. Look at this. Great shot.
Catching the long stuff.
Doesn't even need the ground play. He's catching that branch and just kicking him straight down.
Oh, that was on a good line too. That must have got knocked down by a ninja branch.
Tell he wanted that one to get through, because if it did, it would have been really good.
Get the counter skip here. We do get the counter skip here.
Nice.
Marshall's going to be left with a putt.
Brian's upshot. Good upshot from there.
I'd say that was a run. I think he was running that.
Would not doubt it. Marshall getting the birdie to go.
Back to 9 down. Way to make up that stroke from the previous hole.
Nick. Oh.
You get
Love
the
to
smile.
see the smiles after. Love to see it, but that is unfortunate for him. He's been on a bit of a heater now and unfortunately not able to get that one up.
Look at these
I'm
guys.
quickly recovering his disc.
Good card mates. You gotta see this skip from Marshall. How did this get all the way over? Oh, he got a tree kick. Okay. I thought he just got a crazy counter skip, but he got the lightest of tree kicks there. That was pretty cool.
15, it's a par 4, 547 feet. You're teeing off from the concrete, and then it's slightly downhill here, but you got to make that initial gap, and that tree on the left comes into play quite a bit. If you can get it onto the field, then you're looking pretty good, even if you're off to the left here, because your upshot is quite open. You just want to stay out of the trees on the left here on your upshot. So
this hole has presented more problems than I was expecting, mostly off the drive here. Once you kind of get out into the field, you're a little bit home free. It's usually a pretty stock hyzer into the basket, but these guys are all trying to bite off a lot of distance, and you can sort of see why, because if you get past that row of trees, it opens up a lot over to the left there where Marshall ends up. But I think going for maximum power is starting to get some of these guys into a little bit of trouble here, where they're just a little bit off their lines on these drives.
This is an interesting play from Nick. I don't know if I've seen a forehand that much on this hole, so fortunately catching some trees.
Yeah, you don't have that big bailout zone like you do with the backhand. This is exceptional. This is
a
golden.
Great shot.
Good correction from round 1 there for Brian, and bad correction from Bryce. That's going to be in serious trouble over there if it doesn't get spit out.
Yeah, you never know where the disc ends up. Yeah, this is tight. That's tight in there.
Oh, and Bryce did not need this. He is 3 strokes back from Marshall now, and he's going to be giving at least one more back to him probably on this one.
Waving off some of the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go through those trees. That's a great shot out of there.
Aside from having a difficult approach shot from the trees, you also want to stay out of the trees on a day like this because there's just more bugs in there.
So true. See, Bryce taking his 3rd shot.
And it's kind of going from bad to worse here for Bryce.
Yeah, he'd want that one back, I think.
All right, Brian's finding his rhythm here.
Yeah, able to put that one close to the basket.
He's got 3 to go. He's got some work to do if he's going to get himself onto lead card here going into the final round. Marshall plays it really well.
That's the perfect play from Marshall, and a great putt from Bryce to save par there.
Wow.
That Marshall's approach shot there, that's why that ending up on that left side is not so bad, because all you have to do is just put the right amount of hyzer. Fortunately, Nick unable to capitalize on that recovery shot out of the trees.
What a save by Bryce. It's
so good.
Having a good putter really papers over a lot of mistakes in a round. Any additional 35, that is Sonny. He's doing some caddying there for Marshall. Any additional, any 30, 35 footer that you make is usually going to be helpful on the scorecard. And on the scorecard, it's going to look like a routine par, but we know he kind of got away with one there after a couple of fairly sketchy shots.
Yeah, and you can tell on Bryce's face, he wishes that one was for birdie.
Yeah. Okay, so we did get Marshall was the first one to double digits here. Looks like Eric might have given one back to the course there. He's through 16 holes. He's one ahead of these guys. He's at 8 down. Jason Tay holding steady. He's just got to get through 18. This is where he fell apart last round, but he's got through 17 okay. He and Brian and Nick and Bryce are all at 7 down. We could see any of these guys on lead card here with 3 holes to play for our lead card. Can't wait to find out what happens on these last 3 holes.
yeah, you can't even count Brad out of that. He's only 2 strokes down for being on that lead card.
You can see birdie double bogey swings on. I mean, I wasn't expecting to see a bogey here on 16. We saw one last round. Hole 17 can give you like a 3-score spread. Hole 18 with the mandatory island there with the hazard. We can see birdie bogey spreads there too pretty easily. So exciting finishing holes out here at La Briere.
And the first of those exciting finishing holes is hole 16. This one is a must get, playing 269. It plays much shorter than it seems. And these guys are going to want to get the birdie.
And he burns it over too much again. Similar play to round one.
Doesn't quite have that hole dialed. Brian also didn't get the release that he wanted on that either. Maybe coming up a little bit earlier than he wanted.
And we've seen this disc. I think that's a Firebird, and that is the right choice for this hole. Bryce, Prodigy sponsored player. Look at this scorecard, Andre.
Yeah.
Is he going to get back on the birdie train now after like 14 straight pars?
There's Marshall. Even though he didn't quite have the drive that he wanted, gave it a chance. Chain as well, unfortunately.
Out for both of those guys. Okay, come on, Bryce. Yes, sir.
There we go.
Finally back on it. He was waiting. A lot of white on that scorecard.
You see Nick, maybe a little bit higher in the chains, but able to get it to drop.
Only a little bit sketchy. A little bit sketchy putt there from Brian. Okay, no bogeys.
The wind is picking up here, as you can see the leaves starting to move a little bit more than they want, and that will come into play.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is kind of the open part of the course here, these last couple of holes. One is along some farmland. I think we got some canola crops out to the left on hole 17 here. And then hole 18 is still in a pretty open spot in this field right next to the cricket courts. Courts? Fields. Cricket fields? Cricket.
Fields, crickets. The crickets. Hole 17, it's a par 3, 385 feet. And like we said, there's the fields off the left-hand side here. That is OB. And as this wind picks up, that is going to come into play, because a lot of these guys are going to try to go over top of out of bounds with when they first start their drives. And, unfortunately, a lot of these guys are ending up in the long grass on the right-hand side here.
Yeah, you can really see the grass moving in the background and the leaves. I like forcing over something extremely overstable on the forehand here. Looks like that's kind of what Nick was doing there. You get that distance, but then you can get that reliable fade out at the end of it. And Bryce playing, again, a little bit overly cautious, a little bit overly safe. Can't blame the guy for that.
Marshall with the wind change, opting for the forehand, playing it safe.
That was something really stable.
Pretty short.
Okay, big forehand from Brian here.
Oh, no. This isn't trouble. This is so close. That's close to out of bounds. Just managing to stay in bounds.
Half a disc.
Still a challenging shot here in the back end of this. Carries too far. Oh no, Brian.
Boy, you don't like to see that on hole 17.
Going OB at the wrong time. There's Bryce from out of the trees.
Again, also playing it a little bit too safe.
Yeah, leaving quite a bit on that one. There's Marshall. I don't know how you want.
That's an easy 3. Should see the same here from Nick. Gave it a run. Brave run. I like it.
There's that storm. You can see it's starting to roll in. Brian from out of bounds gets the bogey to drop, but that might be enough to take him off lead card for tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to need something special to happen his way and something terrible to happen the other way for the guys in the card ahead of him here. And Nick I like that he ran that. He's 2 back of Marshall. He's not settling for just staying on lead card. He's got his eyes firmly on the target of being your Manitoba provincial champion here.
Another look at that drive from Nick.
Yeah, never really in any risk here of staying OB.
No.
But getting a good amount of distance, having it turned over a little bit. Nice play by Nick.
Hole 18, R3, 249 feet. This is the last hole we'll see at Briere Park. It can be a challenge given this wind with the island that comes into play here. And as you can see by these orange tags, they are yellow on coverage. Have to land it in bounds, or otherwise you're putting from the same spot, as this does play as a hazard.
I think we might get some chase card action finishing out here on 18. Might give us a bit of a clue as to who we're going to see here.
Devin Coop. Now one to drop for the birdie. Takes him -4 on the round, or on the mint. Fortunately, Josh getting the bogey, but with Brad. There's Eric. And the birdie to bring him to -9. So that's kind of the benchmark here.
Yeah. This has a chance.
Nice high drive. Catching some tree. Dropping.
That's not a bad tree to get.
I was going to say probably a good tree. It looked like that might have been going towards the hazard there.
And Marshall going with the Firebird to cut through the wind. I don't know about this decision.
Obviously, he's not sure about it now either, as that did go into the hazard.
That's got to be a pretty hefty headwind to make the Firebird the choice on that one. It looked pretty beat up. I'm sure he knows his discs, but you would think like he throws the Katuku a lot. An overstable mid-range might be the play. Is this going to sneak back in for Brian? No, right on the edge of hazard.
I think that's going to take him out of lead card tomorrow.
No question. Wow. Great
distance.
run.
Marshall gives it a run.
Brian doesn't wait.
Immediately follows up.
Okay, big putt for Nick here. I'm going to say he was afraid of the headwind on that one.
I think so, yeah. Especially with his, he's got a little bit of a softer putt, so wind is going to tend to play with those a little bit more.
Great putt by Bryce. 7 down. Might not be enough. We'll find out in a second here. Marshall's going to fall back to 9 down. And do we have a time up with...
Yeah, that's going to time up with Eric. That brings... Nick is only 1 stroke back. Bryce is only a couple strokes back.
Wow. I'm really impressed by Nick's round, especially on that one. Looked
Me too.
Pretty shaky at the start.
His first couple of holes, and he just rebounded really well. Once he got that putter going.
Great round. Awesome highlights. We do have a tie at the top. Eric Wiebe and Marshall Toews, your leaders at 9 down, but only 1 behind them. Jason Tay and Nick Briere will be your other competitors. 7 down for Jason this round. He obviously cleaned it up on 17 and 18. And
cleaned it up from the first round as well. We saw him on the leaderboard for most of the first round, actually dropping off towards the end, but it's nice to see him get on there, and I'm excited to watch him tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. Bryce leading your chase card at 7 down. We've got 2 of the other triple Bs with Brad and Brian at 5 down. Devin Coop still hanging around at 4 down. Josh Logazar, we saw him a few times. Robbie Freese, and still not much to separate any of these players going into the final round. And the quarry at Stony Mountain is a beast of a course. If you've never seen it, you got to check out this course for round 3.
It's a tie going into it, so there's going to be fireworks. It's almost guaranteed. Thanks for watching, everyone. Haven't subscribed? Hit that subscribe button.